In this video, I'll be showing you exactly how to create this soft, dreamy look with your photography. But not just in the editing process in this one. I get asked a lot of questions whether this is created just with filters or entirely in the editing process. And since the answer for me is actually always a bit of both, I thought I would make a video explaining my entire process from start to finish. Everything you need to know about the specific gear you need, things to be aware of when you're taking your photos like settings, and last of all, how to edit your photos to achieve this soft, dreamy look. This is a look I really love in my photography, but one that's also quite easy to overcook. I often see it really overdone in the editing process, which can really destroy the quality of your photos. So this video should help you really nail this look yourself. Let's jump in. Step 1, getting the right filter. Gear-wise, ultimately your camera and lens don't matter too much here. We're looking more at these, a mist filter. These can vary a lot in name, but ultimately designed to achieve a very similar result, typically containing tiny black particles in the glass which can act to diffuse and scatter light. This can reduce contrast and sharpness a tad while adding this subtle glow to the highlights, producing this almost haze or mist and giving us this beautiful soft quality. It's a bit of a strange world we live in. We love contradictions. We pay heaps for expensive lenses, wanting the highest image quality, then go pop a filter on them to really soften them. Sounds strange, I know, but I think this is the biggest draw. It doesn't totally undo the quality of these great lenses, rather we almost get the best of both worlds. An incredibly sharp digital image, still with a touch of softness to it. To me, that's why these are so popular. There's hundreds of different mist filters out there across a huge range of budgets, and I'm sure most of them do an okay job. But I always come back to the same one. Thankfully, it's not even the most expensive out there. I've tried more expensive ones, but still always prefer this one. It's the Nisi Black Mist filter, and the strength I often use is 1/4. This is the filter I'm filming on right now, but it's also one I love for my photography. I really love the strength of the 1/4, especially during bright sunlight hours, and this is how I achieve this look. If you do want to achieve this in a slightly more subtle way, 1/8 might be the best option for you. I find 1/4 a bit strong in some conditions, like at night, especially shooting directly at a very bright light source. Hopefully this helps which filter, and yes, we can create some of this in the edit, but if you like this look, I definitely recommend getting a mist filter. It's going to produce a much better and more natural result than just in the editing process alone. Step 2, what to be aware of in camera. When it comes to settings in camera, there's only a few things you really need to be aware of. These aren't crucial, but this tip can certainly help you get the most out of this effect. I think as photographers, a lot of us have this habit to always really protect our highlights, sometimes taking this too far and shooting far more underexposed than we need to. But with this particular look, don't be afraid to push your highlights a bit more than usual. These filters naturally create this haze or mist in the bright highlights, so especially if shooting more in daylight, I tend to push my exposure a little bit brighter than usual. Of course, conditions will affect this a lot. That's why I actually really like sunny days for this effect in sometimes quite harsh light. Sure, cloudy days can be fine as well, but this is where I might even push my exposure beyond 0 on the exposure meter to boost this flatter light. Honestly, that's the main thing to be aware of in camera. The rest we can work with in post. Step 3, the edit. I'll cover just the main points here, but if you do want to cover this in much more detail, I already made a video on this exact topic showing just how I create this look in the editing process. The key here is not to overdo it, which obviously is subjective, but keep in mind the main thing we use here is negative clarity. And although the clarity slider is great, it can be quite destructive to an image when pushed too far in either direction. So I tend to sit at around -20 almost at max, or even less than this, which to me still creates this strong effect without drastically changing the image too much. Of course, this might vary on your image, so play around with this, but try not to overdo it. I also like to add a slight haze, which creates this similar effect to our mist filter. So come down to dehaze and we're going to go negative again, but just a slight adjustment on this one. Lastly, the key here can be just affecting part of our image when we're editing. So the masking tools are always a great option here, targeting more of the brighter part of the image, much like a mist filter will. I also just posted a video on masking, going through this in a lot more detail, so check that out if you're interested. But essentially for softness, we can apply a linear gradient and then intersect it with a luminance mask, which will directly target more of those highlights. When we slide this all the way to the right, then slide this second marker to choose how gradually these settings are going to blend in. With similar adjustments to our clarity and haze, we are now just targeting more our highlights. Radial gradients are also great for this, again applying similar settings in whichever direction that sunlight is coming from. Maybe a little more haze on this one for our sunlight, and even a bit of a warmer tone. So we can apply this nice, soft looking light in a much more natural looking way. So when creating this look, find the mixture you like. Start with a mist filter and then play with your adjustments in post until you find an effect and result you're happy with. All right, that's about it. I hope you found this one useful in creating this dreamy look. Please do subscribe, keep on creating and keep on growing, my friends. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.